So today I'm going to talk about the book The Fault in Our Stars by John Green. If you haven't read this book right now, I don't know what's wrong with you. You're no longer my friend. Stop watching this video, go read it, and then come back. I need to brag for 1 second. This is the original copy I got a red J Scribble, and then later I was at a bookstore and I found another copy, and I was just checking the colors of the J Scribbles, and I found a Hinklerfish, and it was the most exciting thing. So now I have 2 copies of The Fault in Our Stars. True story. So I realized it's been a while since the big hubbub around this book happened, and I was going to make a video when the book first came out, but the first time I read it like in less than 24 hours, just racing through it, I think in 2 sittings, and I just really wanted to know what happened at the end. So I wanted to read it again at a slower pace in order to really digest it before I made a video about it. And that was going to happen later in January, but then school happened and I didn't read very much for fun this semester, which is depressing. But anyway, the point is I didn't get around to it until last week. And the funny part is that I read it even faster the second time, so much for reading at a slower pace. I don't want to talk about it for too long because a lot of people have made really great videos about this book already, so I'll link to a lot of those in the doobly-doo. But I just wanted to point out a few of the things that I liked best about the book and a few things that I noticed more the second time I read it. I think one of my favorite aspects of this book is Hazel's relationship with her parents. In a lot of young adult novels, the parents are kind of pushed to the side. I feel like the author makes a point of establishing that the book is about teenagers and just teenagers, and as a result the parents are just kind of there because there have to be parents, but they don't really influence the plot in any significant way. So it's great that in this book Hazel's mom and dad and her relationships with them are given the full attention that they deserve, because teenagers don't live in this isolated world of only teenagers, you know? The few scenes with her dad made me cry more than like most other things in the book. They're just such beautiful and well-developed relationships and characters, and I love them so much. I also just love the character of Hazel, her personhood. I love how snarky and cynical she can be, but never at the expense of making her less kind. I mean, of course there are moments when she's angry and mean, but in general. I know this book and John Green gets criticized for like the way teenagers talk isn't the way that teenagers actually talk. It's too smart, too clever, too witty, but I just think that makes it a more enjoyable read for me, so I'm not gonna complain. I think Hazel is probably my favorite female character of John Green's, and probably my favorite protagonist of John Green's too. The second time I read this book, I paid a lot more attention to the whole water theme of the book. He's talked about it before and I hadn't like paid much attention to it when I first read it, so the second time I did pay attention to it, and there are so many things just from the comparison between Hazel, whose lungs are half drowned, and Amsterdam, the city that's half drowning as well. But then if you just pay attention to water throughout the entire thing, there are just small things everywhere, like her memory of her dad playing with her and tossing her in the river at the park, and just a mention of the swing set that's wet after the rain and things like that, and it just made it really interesting to see that whole other level that wasn't even hidden very much, but you had to pay attention to it, and that was really cool. Now you might think in my second reading that I would be less emotional because I know what's happening beforehand, so it's not like a surprise, but no, not at all. I'm pretty sure I cried more the second time than the first time. This happens to me a lot though, so I was wondering if other people do that as well. Deathly Hallows, for example, in the chapter The Forest again, I always cry every single time I read it. Even if I were just to go pick it up right now and start reading that chapter, I would cry. And I would cry well before he used the Resurrection Stone, just because I know what's going to happen. I'm like preparing myself almost. And I was just wondering if anyone else did that, or if I'm a weirdo. So those are the main things I wanted to talk about with The Fault in Our Stars. Please share your thoughts about the book in the comments. I would love to continue this discussion. I wasn't sure what kind of things people would want to talk about with this book, considering it's been out for a while and we've talked about a lot of things already. So anything you want to talk about, let's talk about it down there. Again, if you have not read this amazing, amazing book, please do so as soon as possible. It really deserves to be read and thought about. See ya!